The New Mutants, the final film inside the Fox X-Men era, and it's weird to say I just saw the film because all the drama that has come with it. I mean, originally the trailer, give you some context. The trailer came out three and a half years ago. Because originally it was meant to come out in 2018, but then then some producer was like, you know what kids like? You know what kids like? It. Let's make it. It doesn't make sense. It with New Mutants, that's what the kids like. Yeah, boom, bam, boom, and that's what you want. Yeah, some producer was like that. So reshoots happened. Then it got bumped to 2019. Then the Disney Fox merger happened. So it's like, okay, this film's gonna get bumped again. 2020. It felt like we're going to finally see the film. Everything was fine. Everything was great. And then the damn virus happened. Bloody Corona happened. You know what happened. And you're like, oh my god, this film is never going to come out. Seriously, this film is never going to come out. We're all going to be, the cast members are going to be talking about their grandkids and all that kind of stuff. They're going to be old and grey when they do interviews of this. When people finally see what they did in their 20s. I mean, it's one of those things where you're like, oh, this film's never gonna come out. But they made it out. They pushed the film out. They made the film happen. And I will say this: it's fine. It's a fine film. It's not the best of the X-Men films from Fox. It's not the worst, as some critics are pointing out. It's still X-Men Origins, the worst X-Men film. Oh, God, X-Men Origins. Ugh. Anyway. But it's not bad. I mean, here's the thing. What Fox was doing was trying to hit different genres that maybe Warner Bros. Wasn't doing at the time and what Disney wasn't doing at the time with comic book movies. And you had Deadpool, which was a watch comedy. You had Logan, which was just like serious, Oscar contender type film. And with New Mutants, they were trying to hit horror, and definitely heavily with body horror, creepy imagery and all that. And by concept, you're like, ooh, this might be interesting. But what the film is, it just feels very repetitive, really. Because the concept is that one of the characters has the powers to set fear, and fear around them. And so we're kind of witnessing every single character's fear, right? But the way it's handled, it felt very repetitive. It felt very slow. It felt like, oh my god, we're doing the same thing over and over again. Where you have fear, insert character, they're going, ah, or screaming or something happening in their fear, and they're like, we need to get the fuck out of here, what are we doing? And then the doctor, the doctor, the medical person who's trying to calm everyone down is like, everyone, okay, this is for your own safety, nothing's wrong here, nothing is happening, all you need to do is stay calm. And it just happens again and again, and your head's like, okay. I mean, here's the thing, is there creepy imagery? Yeah, there is, there was a couple of times where I'm like, I'm just going to grab my Coke and take my cup and drink it out, so I can kind of just focus on that and don't get sad. I mean, here's the thing, horror's not my genre, right? But because it's X-Men and comic related Marvel, I'm like, fine, I'll check it out. But there's creepy imagery in there, but it's just it's so repetitive to the point when it comes to the third act. With the third act with the Demon Bear, which is what this movie's heavily inspired by. You just don't care, really. I mean, the characters are not really that well put down. They're not really that good written. And what it is like, they're meant to be like the stereotypes. Like, you have the jock, you have the tough girl, you have the friend, you have the stare girl, you have the stare guy, and, that type of thing, right? But they don't even dive into that. They don't dive into those tropes, into those personalities. It just felt like all the characters felt the same. They just felt really... It's a film that you go okay with, to the point, And here's the thing with the Demon Bear. The Demon Bear just felt like, oh yeah, but we have to kind of use like a scene to explain it. So that when the Demon Bear showed up, like, you know, it's all sense. But there's no sense of fluidity. There's no. It just felt like, oh yeah, there's a giant ass Demon Bear. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's a giant ass Demon Bear with no sense of adherence really, and or sense of fluent that comes with it. It's once again, when it comes to the third act, just because the third act is basically the test of like, do you give a shit what's going on in this film? And in reality, you don't really. I mean, the faceless Venom Slender Man type characters, yeah, they're creepy, yeah. But I just don't care about the characters because I don't feel like characters. I mean, the dialogue felt really tack on. Really, if the dialogue isn't that strong, the characters ain't that great. The action's pretty decent, but I just don't care. I found when we come to the horror elements, they felt very repetitive. It's just things just didn't. But you know, it's not a bad film. It's just fine, you know, and it's probably a film that you're happy to rent when it hits digital services and home to video and all that. So yeah, I mean, New Mutants this is the film that is closing on the decade. It is closing an era of Fox X-Men films. You got that whole thing, and you realize the story behind this film is a hell of a lot more interesting and more like, let's make a movie about that whole thing than the actual film itself, because it's just meh, really. And you're at that point where you're like, okay, Feige, okay, Disney, how it's time to reboot the X-Men. What you gonna do with it? So even though I do believe we're gonna get Fantastic Four before X-Men, but it's yeah, just meh, really.